Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the 2010 Sustainability Forum here at the CDC for How to Plan a Green and Healthy Conference. My name is Paul Smith. I'm in the Office of Sustainability here at the CDC, and I would like to introduce you to Liz York, our Chief Sustainability Officer.
Hi, everybody. I'm Liz York, Chief Sustainability Officer here at CDC, and I'm here to talk to you about our forum in 2010. It's How to Plan a Green and Healthy Conference. So we're pleased that you're here today, and we have a very good program for you today. First of all, I wanted to tell you a little bit about what the Office of Sustainability does here at CDC. We're responsible for leading the charge to promote health and well-being, quality of work life, and environmental stewardship throughout the CDC community. I know we have a lot of people here from outside CDC. You are the CDC community, and we're so glad you're here today, so thank you for joining us. This is a great event because we are partnering with GSA to bring you this event, and we're so pleased to have other federal partners working with us on sustainability. The things that our office is very concerned with, we have 4 main goals, and those are reducing greenhouse gas emissions, conserving natural resources, promoting health and wellness, and leading, communicating, and engaging the community with events such as this. So thank you for coming today, and in just a minute I'm going to introduce our moderator, Lieutenant Corey Moore from the United States Public Health Service is here today. She's a longtime sustainability champion and has been involved with the Green Meetings Work Group, which is part of the Go Green, Get Healthy initiative at CDC. Corey also serves on the Built Environment Work Group, the Climate Change Work Group, the Global Environmental Health Work Group, and she's an executive member of the Career Paths to Public Health Work Group. We're very happy to have Corey here to lead our discussion today. So please welcome Lieutenant Corey Moore.
Thank you, Liz. As Liz said, I'm Corey Moore. I'm an Environmental Health Officer at the National Center for Environmental Health, and I also serve as the work group leader for the Go Green, Get Healthy Green Meetings Work Group. Before we begin, I have a couple housekeeping items. For the Envision sites, if everyone can fill out the sign-in sheet that was sent via email. If you didn't receive one, please send an email to ggh@cdc.gov with a list of names and user IDs. For those in the room, if you didn't sign in when you walked in today, please sign in on the clipboards that are being passed around. We also ask that you answer a couple of questions about how you got here today. Today, we have the pleasure of hosting 4 speakers who will present on various aspects of hosting a green meeting. After we have heard from all of our panelists, we will move into the question-answer section of our discussion for an informal dialogue. First, we have Garrick Eisert. Mr. Eisert is the Director of Corporate Responsibility and Public Affairs for the Intercontinental Hotel Group. IHG leads the industry in environmental innovation with its guide to sustainable hotel building and operations. A key business objective for IHG over the coming years is to minimize their impact on the climate and to future-proof themselves against rising energy and carbon costs. And they are on their way to a great start. In 2009, their owned and managed hotels met their target of reducing energy by up to 10%. Please welcome Garrett to tell us more about choosing sustainable conference locations.
Is this working? Great. Well, good afternoon. My name's Garrick Eisert. I'm a Director of Corporate Responsibility and Public Affairs at IHG, really focusing on sustainability for the region. For those of you that don't know, IHG stands for the Intercontinental Hotels Group. In addition to Intercontinental, we represent 8 hotel brands: Intercontinental, Crowne Plaza, Holiday Inn, Holiday Inn Express, Staybridge Suites, Candlewood Suites, and Hotel Indigo. We're one of the largest hotel companies in the world with over 4,400 hotels in 100 different countries. And so We take our size and big responsibility very seriously, and so I'm glad that we can be here today to chat and share some of the lessons we've learned and some of the insights we've had around sustainable hotels and sustainable events. Just out of curiosity, in the crowd, just to kind of set some context, how many people here recycle? All right, that's a lot. How many people here drive hybrids? Okay, you got a few. That's pretty good. How many of you consider yourself green? All right, got about a third of the crowd. Well, what's interesting is that's a hard question to answer, because what does green actually mean? And it's hard to tell because if you look at media and popular culture, there's a lot of ways that green and sustainability hits us in our daily lives. And so you've got movies about it like WALL-E, Avatar, An Inconvenient Truth. Politically, it's very important with the current administration and green jobs and a focus on energy. It's in headlines. You hear about it with Copenhagen. And so, it's important to people in the crowd. It's important to, the media and people in popular culture. What you also see from our perspective is that it's important to hotel guests. But what's interesting is if you look at kind of the segment of the population that we look at, the frequent traveler, it kind of breaks into three different areas. You've got about 10 to 15% of people that are what we call kind of eco-skeptics. They think climate warming's a myth. It's kind of the drive-by liberal media conspiracy theory. Al Gore's an idiot. We'll invest in technology to meet the supply. So you've got that on kind of one side of the equation. On the other side of the equation, you've got the 10 to 15% that are super passionate about it. These are the people who are on the waiting list for the Toyota Prius. Type of people that meetings, when you're opening that second bottle of water, are pointing out that there's a water fountain over by the bathroom that you should be filling up with. Which leaves a majority of the people in the middle, so around 60 to 70%. And these people are what sometimes are referred to as lazy environmentalists, which is most people. You'll be green or you'll be environmental as long as it's not too inconvenient or too expensive. I bring this up because it's important as you think about how you're defining sustainability, how you're defining green, and also as people who are attending your events, you're going to have a wide range of spectrum of people who don't care, people who probably care too much, and most who care as long as you make it easy for them to be involved and participate. I'm actually excited today. We've got some great consumer insights work that we can share with you guys. We've been doing a bunch of stuff around trying to figure out, well, what's the greenest hotel, what's the greenest bathroom, and what's the greenest shower. And I got permission today to finally share some of that research with you because we haven't been able to share it publicly. And so wanted to show that to you guys here real quick. And so it's all about how sustainable you want to be. And so what we found for the greenest hotel room was a tent in a field, 0 carbon footprint, and abundant meeting space. The greenest bathroom, no water, 100% composting. And then the greenest shower, 100% water capture. We actually didn't do this, obviously, as consumer research, but the point that I'm trying to make is that it's really important how you define green. At IHG, we want to have green hotels. We want to minimize the environmental impact that we have as a company, but at the same time, we want to deliver a great guest experience. And so oftentimes, there's a tension between that experience, same thing with the sustainable meetings, and how much you can actually do to be green or to be sustainable. IHG does have a bit of expertise around this. I mean, some of the things that we've done, which have been pretty innovative, and actually some of these are award-winning, are our corporate responsibility report. And so we've tried to be transparent, identifying, what our carbon footprint is, what our targets are, the things that we're doing around sustainability in the community, so that we can be transparent, and also so that we can benchmark ourselves, because you can't manage what you don't measure. And so this is an attempt at us to be transparent to our owners, to our guests, to our stakeholders in terms of the things that we're doing. We also created a proprietary tool called Green Engage, Green Engage is a tool that we've rolled out to a lot of our hotels to help them measure and manage energy waste and water. So it helps them capture kind of what their current impact is today, and then gives them ideas and activities that they can incorporate. The third thing is the Innovation Hotel, which is kind of a really neat online tool to test some of these ideas around sustainable features, where people can rate features that we're presenting, provide inputs and suggestions, which we can then incorporate into some of our hotel designing and some of the tools that we've created. And then the fourth thing that we're doing recently is a partnership with Meeting Planners International. And so really what we're trying to do here is provide thought leadership to create CSR measurement tools. We're also working with them to create sustainable meeting events and training programs, including certification, and then other things around reporting supplements in a resource center. And so we take sustainability very seriously. It's something that we're investing in and growing and improving, much like a lot of hotel companies and other businesses today. But I wanted to kind of set the context for now moving into sustainable site selection. When you're thinking about site selections for meetings, there's a few principles that you want to, kind of four main principles that I think you want to consider, and then I'll get into some very tactical questions you can answer, but at least initially, you want to define what sustainability means to you and what green means to you for you and your meeting. And so, is bottled water sustainable? Some people think so, some people not. Again, there are different perceptions that you need to manage depending on your company and the people that you're creating meetings for. And since they're varying definitions, you just need to be clear and set the right expectations. You also need to have realistic expectations. Clearly identify what are the things that are most important to you, as well as kind of what's possible. And so how many of the people are familiar with LEED certification or LEED designation? Okay, so about half. LEED stands for Leadership Excellence in Environmental Design. It's a standard through the U.S. Green Buildings Council, which helps buildings and homes follow a certain framework in order to get certified, and it creates a more sustainable building and construction experience. And you see a lot of regulations coming out where counties and cities in some states only want to stay at LEED certified hotels, which is great, except as of today, there's only 50, or there's less than 50 that have actually been certified. And so depending on what the things are you're trying to do, you just want to be reasonable in setting some of those expectations. The other thing you want to do, and this is where you guys can have real influence, is partnering with hotels. It's a competitive market out there. Hotels want to win your business, and they're willing to accommodate you within reason. We're saying the biggest changes that we've made in terms of our approach to sustainability is being driven by a lot of our corporate accounts, because when companies like General Electric or Ford or Boeing set big carbon reduction targets, they're expecting their vendors, hotel companies, to help deliver that. And that's driving a lot of the changes we're making. And you too can have impacts on the hotels and the facilities that you're working with for sustainable meetings. And the last thing that I would do is, in terms of principles, is really communicate with the attendees. Again, this definition of what is green and what is sustainable varies. And so be very clear with how you're defining your green meeting and what it is and what it isn't, so you can avoid situations where people are like, that's not a green meeting, they had bottled water, or that's not a green meeting because there was no place to recycle. Again, you've got different levels of constituents, people who really don't care, people who care a lot, and you just want to set those expectations with them. And so from here, let's move into some of the checklists around questions that you can specifically ask. And so the way that I came up with this was using our internal tool, the Green Engage tool that I talked about a little bit, but then also just trying to think through, if I were trying to make site selection and interview a hotel or a facility, what are the types of questions I would ask? And one of the first questions is, does this hotel location minimize the distance the participants need to travel? Obviously, you minimize the carbon footprint the closer you can make your meetings to where most of the people are located. By asking questions like, is it close to public transportation? Is it close to event activities and locations, or event locations? You can ask hotels if they have policies or tools to help them measure their energy waste, water, carbon, and ask them if they're willing to share it with you. Does the hotel have or report their carbon footprint? I'd say most hotels today, most individual hotels today don't, but you'll see a growing trend as this becomes more important to corporate partners such as the CDC and some of the other partners that I've talked about. You'll see more carbon footprint reporting from hotels. Does the hotel receive any green certification? This question is, can be a little bit misleading because there's different types of certifications. Some, like LEED, are very rigorous. Also, Green Globe and Green Key. There's others out there that aren't very rigorous that you've never heard of. And it's tough, as somebody who does this full time, it's tough to tell which are the right credentials and which are the right certifications because all of them are new and everybody's still trying to figure it out. So this could be a good question to help narrow down a long list, but also keep in mind that a hotel can be green and not have some type of third-party certification. They could be doing all the right things, but just have made the decision not to spend money to get some third party to validate what they're doing. Does the hotel have a recycling program? This is a pretty visible, pretty impactful thing to reduce waste into the environment. And you can ask follow-up questions like, is it guest-facing, or is it just kind of the back of the house for employees? Is it single source? And what I mean by single source is you're starting to see recycling bins removed from public facilities as organizations and companies move towards single source recycling. And so the Atlanta airport's a great example of this. There's no recycling bins in Atlanta airport anymore because now all of the trash is collected as a single source, and then off-site they go through and they separate the recycling from the waste. And so just the visibility of that, some people may not see a recycling bin and think that the meeting can't be green because of it, or the facility. What green transportation options are available to guests? This could be any types of shuttles that use alternative fuels, or things like, one of our hotels that does a lot of business with you is the Crowne Plaza up in Ravinia in Dunwoody. It's probably about 30-40 minutes from the airport. But it does have a MARTA stop within half a mile. So you can take a MARTA from the airport to Dunwoody, and then they have a free shuttle that runs between the MARTA stop and the airport. And that's a way that they've helped to, win business. That's a hotel that's really committed to green. They're Green Globe certified. They're doing a lot of stuff in their rooms around recycling amenities like shampoo and soaps. And so green transportation options are something to consider. Then you get into, well, then what are the green meeting options available? And this is a series of questions that you can ask around energy efficient lighting. If they're using that in their meeting spaces, are they using energy efficient heating and cooling in terms of how they monitor their facility? How are they going to treat linens, flatwares, glassware? Is it going to be reused? Is it going to be recycled? Is it going to be trashed? Is food going to be sourced locally? Getting muffins or breads down the road from Alon's has a lot smaller footprint than having them sent in prepackaged from Houston or some other transatlantic vendor. You can also ask questions around what's going to happen to surplus food. Is it going to be donated to the local community? This could be homeless shelters. This could be food banks. This could actually be volunteer organizations like local fire departments. How are meeting materials going to be produced? Are they going to be produced from recycled and environmentally friendly materials? This is more expensive than kind of normal materials, but depending, again, coming back to that question, how green do you want your meeting to be, may be an investment that you're willing to make. Also understanding how meeting waste is going to be handled. What's going to happen to all the stuff in the room? Ensuring that it's going to be recycled or treated rather than just trashed. And then the other kind of big question is, are there ways to avoid printing materials altogether? Can you use virtual materials? Can you go wireless? Can you use screens at the facilities that have the event schedules instead of having paper versions of them? And so these are kind of the handful or two of questions that you can ask as you consider green and sustainable site selection. Now, within the presentation, this is all what we just talked about. I just put it in a one-pager in case this is something that you want to print out and have with you as you're kind of thinking through that. But basically, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. So thanks for your time. Please visit the IHG table out in the vendor area. We've got our CDC key account manager, Shaman, who's there, as well as the Crown Plaza Ravinia Director of Sales, so Perry. So thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate it.
Our next panelist is Marissa Moore. Ms. Moore is a Computer Sciences Corporation contractor with CDC's Office of Safety, Health, and the Environment. Marissa is a registered and licensed dietitian with a unique background in clinical nutrition, wellness, and the food industry. She'll speak to us today about incorporating healthy foods into conferences and meetings. Please welcome Marissa Moore.
Good afternoon. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about food and nutrition at your Green and Healthy Conference. So I'm going to go through and talk a little bit just about selecting healthy food and drink options, a tiny bit about sourcing, and then possibly choosing organic and when it's necessary, and then some additional food tips to consider. So what I'm going to present now are some guidelines that were developed by the CDC Worksite Wellness Initiative, Healthier Worksite Initiative, some time ago, and they're largely based on the dietary guidelines, so some of them might seem very familiar. One of the first things is to offer a variety of whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. Now that seems like a very obvious thing to recommend, but unfortunately only about less than 75% of adults in general get the number of vegetables that we need in a day, no matter how many times we've continued to say we need to get more fruits and veggies, so we're not quite meeting the mark. But what you can do is make sure that you're looking for things that are locally inspired. So right now it's the fall, you want to choose pears or apples, carrots, anything that's in season so that you can kind of inspire your menu that way. So whole grains, fruits, and vegetables is going to be the first guideline. Offer a variety of fat-free and low-fat options. So here, that's a great opportunity to look for lean protein sources and making sure also that, remember that whenever you're choosing proteins, you can opt for non-animal sources. So you might choose tofu or beans, nuts. Those are all great sources to include. And those are some of the items that you want to make sure you include. So it could be grilled or roasted main entrees, low-calorie dressings or toppings. And if you're looking at dessert, you might consider angel food cake with fruit as an option instead of the ever-popular chocolate cake at conferences. So, of course, we want to watch our sugar and salt. In general, in the American diet, we get about 77% of the sodium in our diet from processed foods. So looking at ways to cut back on that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about ways to do that, to coordinate with the people who are preparing your foods to start to cut back on processed foods, as well as sugar. So that's a great place to target those beverages. Statistics show that we get anywhere from about 350 extra calories per day from sugar-sweetened beverages. So that could be juices, it could be sodas. So they really don't have a good place to fit into the diet, as well as some of the vessels that they would be delivered by, some of the bottles that you would have. So it's a great place to start to cut back. And you also, if you're offering cereals, you want to look for unsweetened varieties. And that's also obviously a great place to provide whole grain options. Choosing unsweetened tea and coffee, providing some substitutions there if needed, and water. And then this, the next one I want to talk about is making sure that you opt for smaller portions. That's a great way to cut back on cost. It's a great way to cut back on calorie intake. And one of the best ways to do that is to start with a smaller vessel. So you might start with a saucer instead of a large plate if you have a buffet. Use smaller cups so that you automatically serve fewer calories, and you also cut back on the amount of food that you're serving. And then this last one, we are constantly bombarded with food. So if you go to conferences, usually we go and the food area, the food table, is usually a place to socialize. So we don't want to take that away, but you might consider only offering beverages at break time, so it still provides an opportunity to socialize and get to know the other people at your conference. But it also takes away the additional need for those additional calories and the additional cost that might come along with that. So this is a great opportunity. You don't have to necessarily use bottled water. You can use water from a pitcher, and you could also do tea or coffee. So those are the basic guidelines, and if they seem familiar, they're right from the dietary guidelines, and they're pretty easy to apply in your conferences. Now, the next thing that I want to mention, the new dietary guidelines, hopefully will come out sometime this year, and the expectation is that there will be more of a focus on getting your foods from a plant-based source. And the research is pretty strong in this area, and it shows that about 2.3% of Americans, that's about almost 5 million people, are vegetarian. And there's evidence that that number is continuing to increase. So it's a good opportunity for you to provide options for vegetarians in your conference, as well as introduce the non-vegetarians to vegetarian options. And I would recommend that you make sure that you kind of think about them beforehand, because if you are a vegetarian, you've probably been in a conference before, and you end up with the pasta with the sauce, and that's it. There's not a whole lot else going on the plate. So my recommendation is to make sure that you do include something that's a little more hearty, a little heartier, so at least one main dish. And you might include vegetables that are a little heartier, like eggplant. You might choose a roasted vegetable sandwich that might include roasted red peppers, or portobello mushrooms, something that's going to be a little heartier. And then these are some other options. You can include beans or tofu, roasted veggies, polenta, and quinoa. Quinoa, I'm sure, are most of you familiar with that grain? Okay. We have a quinoa fan in the back. So quinoa, if you're not familiar with it, you've probably seen it and maybe not heard it pronounced, but it's a really ancient grain. It's been around forever, but it is one of the few grains that actually provides a complete source of protein. So it's a great option. It can be inexpensive. It's very easy to prepare, and you can use it to develop very sturdy and sustainable dishes for your vegetarian and your meat eaters as well. So I would also encourage you, again, I mentioned that we get most of the sodium in our diet from processed foods that could come from a restaurant or anything that's packaged. And my recommendation is to make sure that you try to cut back on those. This is a great opportunity to cater to the client. So if you are hosting a conference or a group, there's an opportunity there to create recipes that are inspired by your local community, an opportunity for the chef to kind of show off his or her skills versus buying something that has to be shipped in. And then it also, and probably most importantly, controls for the nutrient content, quality, and flavor. Because when you're ordering and buying something that's packaged, you just don't have as much control over it. So this gives you that opportunity to influence that. So next I want to talk a little bit about sourcing locally. There's the concept of food miles. Is everyone familiar with that on some level? Okay, well, it's the thought that well, here's a statistic. The typical American meal includes ingredients from 5 foreign countries, and even domestically grown produce has a tendency to travel about 1,500 miles before it's even sold. So if you think about what's in your fridge, what's in your cupboard at home, and think about where it's come from, that's the Chilean grapes, the California avocados, you know, things that come from a little farther away. You think about all the fuel and everything that goes into getting that food to your plate. And a lot of times we just don't think about it. So when you have such a massive group of people together for a conference, it's a great opportunity to, again, pull on what's available locally. So it does support the local economy. Again, it controls for cost, quality, and taste. Now, I keep mentioning cost because that's almost always an issue when it comes to any food service operation, be it a conference or a cafeteria. It's always an issue, but you do have an opportunity to pull from what's in season and what's local to be able to save a few dollars as well as get a better quality, tastier product. Now, I've listed some resources here which I find to be extremely helpful. The first one is the Natural Resource Defense Council. I don't know if everyone's local, but they have a resource there where you can put in your state and you can put in the season, and it'll tell you exactly what's in season in your area. Because obviously in Georgia we have a little bit of a different growing climate than they might have in the Pacific Northwest. So I would encourage you to just Google that, and you'll find that that resource there. Sustainable Table is another great resource in just learning a little bit more about local sourcing. And then Georgia Organics is great for that as well. They have a wonderful harvest calendar that you can print from their website, and it lists the foods that are available, primarily, obviously produce, that's available at different times of the year throughout the 12 months. So those are all resources that you'll find to be helpful. Okay, so let's talk just a little bit about organic and sustainable. And again, cost can sometimes be an issue. And if you think organic is out of your reach, I would encourage you to, again, look for what's in season where you can save a few dollars. But also consider, if you've heard, you may or may not have heard of the Dirty Dozen before. It's a list that's published by the Environmental Work Group. And they've done some research to show that there are certain fruits and vegetables that tend to be a little higher in pesticides. So those might be ones that you might want to include as organic. So some of those would include celery, peaches, strawberries, apples, blueberries, and bell peppers. But then they also produce a list called the Clean 15, and you'll be happy to hear that onions make the list, sweet potatoes, cabbage, corn, those are all on the Clean 15 list. So whenever, if you feel like your budget can accommodate it, go ahead with the organic products, and if it doesn't, then try to buy those products at least in an organic form. The next one I'll just kind of briefly mention is sustainable seafood. And this is really just to give you a great resource, because the goal here is to make sure that we are maintaining a healthy and sustainable environment for seafood and our ecosystems. So one of the great resources is the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Their Seafood Watch program does a really good job of keeping track of which types of fish populations are either close to being overfished or not, and the goal is to try to choose those that are obviously in the best choices. And you'll notice that there are some inexpensive options there, so U.S. farm-raised tilapia is one of those that works really well in a food service environment. Okay. And in looking, before I wrap up, I want to talk just a little bit about what to do with the leftovers. In the previous presentation, he talked a little bit about donating, and one of the major things that you'll have to do if you consider donating, and I think you should, is make sure that you plan ahead. So think about what you're going to do with those leftovers, and make sure that the laws in your city or your state allow you to actually make a donation, because sometimes you can't, and sometimes there are certain things that can and cannot be donated. So think about that ahead of time. Arrange for the soup kitchen or the community organization to either pick it up or make it available for drop-off. And then make sure that you have proper storage for those items that you plan to donate. It's not a time to forget about food safety. It's important, even if you're donating food, to make sure that it's still safe for people to eat. So make sure that you do store those items properly. And of course, composting is an option. And with this, you do need to make sure that the facility where you're holding the conference is able to do that. So just a couple more green tips to consider. This kind of summarizes what I've talked about. Make sure that vegetarian options are available. Buy seasonal and local products whenever possible. Compost whenever you can. Obviously, offering filtered, not bottled water is a great way to go. So using pitchers and glasses can help. And then providing condiments, beverages, and other foods in bulk, if it makes sense. You have to determine if that's going to make sense for your location. I can't stress the importance of making sure that you know how many people you're feeding, because obviously that's going to have a major impact on costs and waste. So try to get that nailed down as much as possible, or charge some sort of fee for people who decide not to show up. Make reusable coffee mugs available at the beginning of the conference. That's a great way to get your brand out there, as well as provide them with a little bit of a souvenir going home, and a great way, obviously, to cut back on paper waste. And then purchase foods with less packaging, I mentioned. supply reusable servingware and linens. And then just before I end, I did get a question right before a couple weeks ago actually, about allergies. Someone had asked a question about how to handle those at food conferences or at conferences in general. And really the best thing to do is to make sure that you make your decisions early on as to how you might handle a person who has nut allergies or intolerance to wheat. Those are things sometimes that might not be something that you can accommodate, but you do need to think about how you might handle them ahead of time. And the best thing you can do is know exactly what's in your food. So again, making your own food instead of using the processed ones can sometimes be helpful in that way. Provide little table cards, signage, brochures, menus to let people know exactly what's in there. And make sure that all of your print materials ask people to let you know if they have an allergy so that you can find appropriate food for them. Okay, so that concludes my presentation. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Corey.
Our next panelist also serves in CDC's Office of Safety, Health, and the Environment. Ed Jones is a contractor with the Computer Sciences Corporation. He has a broad background in promoting wellness and physical activity, including more than 30 years' experience working at the federal, state, local, and international levels. Mr. Jones will talk a little about incorporating wellness into your meeting planning. Please welcome Ed Jones.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and be able to participate in the forum this afternoon. There are very few published standards and guidelines for physical activity at conferences and meetings, so I'll be drawing a lot on my own experience in promoting physical activity and exercise and attending a number of conferences where I feel that those issues were handled well or maybe not quite as well. Also, since you're now seated in a forum and my topic is physical activity, you can expect that before I'm seated again, you will be physically active. I want to move through a couple of definitions on the terms I've already used: physical activity and exercise. Physical activity is any bodily movement, regardless of the reason you make the movement. Exercise is a subset of physical activity and has structure, planning, repetition, and an intent to either maintain or improve a fitness level. The position that I'm taking with regards to conferences is you should always strive to have both, but you should never omit physical activity. This slide is one that you've probably seen or seen one similar to it. It's the physical activity guidelines published in 2008 by HHS, developed in large part by CDC, and it gives all of the benefits of physical activity, and it gives them primarily related to chronic diseases and conditions. We can deliver that message a little bit more succinctly and I think positively than into that range, and simply say physical activity has a positive impact on you physiologically, influencing the structure and function of muscles, skeleton, internal organs and systems, psychologically, improving cognitive ability, emotionally, improving mood state, socially, if you're in connection with others during the activity, and spiritually, in that it may help you determine your role and place as part of humanity. In looking at the conference setting specifically, my comments will be broken into three areas: the environment, the scheduling, and the leadership necessary. When we look at the environment and you're planning a conference, one of the first things that I say is find out whether there's a fitness center as part of the conference facility or nearby. Determine whether the conference attendees will have access to that facility at low or no cost, and ensure that that facility is accessible and has equipment that's appropriate for the people who would be attending your conference. If you host or hope to host a conference, try to establish relationships with nearby facilities if you do not have a facility as part of your conference location. Involving an on-site or nearby facility will also be a positive when you move on to leadership needs, which I'll cover in just a minute. You want to look at the entire environment, indoors and outdoors, for safe walking and wheeling activities. When you're within the facility, are there wide open corridors? Are there windows? Is it attractive so that individuals can wheel or walk in that area while other activities may be taking place? Again, if you're selecting a site, look for a feature like this. If you have a site with that feature, realize it's a positive. Promote that as one of the things that you have to offer that enhances physical activity. What's the immediate property like? Is it safe? Is it attractive? And again, is it accessible? If you're selecting a site, look for these features. If you have them, be sure to let people who are considering your site know that you've got that. Close by to the facility, are there areas within walking and wheeling distance that support and encourage physical activity? Are there community activities that you could possibly incorporate into the conference or make your conference attendees aware of? The walking tours here are ongoing in the city of Atlanta. There are also bike tours available in the city of Atlanta. Potential host sites should know what's happening in their community so that they can make conference planners aware. They may not directly provide it, but it's there in the environment. Site isn't aware of that, the local Visitors Bureau and Chamber of Commerce will probably be able to give you that similar information. When you're looking and selecting your site, if you find yourself as a conference planner having to make a decision, I have one site that the environment supports a lot of physical activity. I've got another site that's got a tremendous exercise center. Select the site that has multiple physical activity options. Wherever you put them, the exercise enthusiast will find equipment to work out on. So don't be overly concerned. Okay, we're going to move into scheduling. Time should be allowed for physical activity before, during, or after conference sessions, and all of your conference material should make that available and aware to the potential participants. You want them to be alerted and come prepared for the opportunities to be physically active, not all of a sudden be there and say, I wish I had known I should have brought walking shoes, that this would be here. The next few slides illustrate just conferences that are about to occur or have just occurred that have come in on my email in the last couple weeks. This is the SOPHE annual meeting that's going to come up in November. This is drawn directly from their schedule. I added the red highlighting, but you see at 7 to 7:45, there's a scheduled wellness challenge. You get to the midday and noon to 12:45, you see again that there's a wellness challenge. If you haven't got curious by that point, you go directly into their schedule, and there's the description. It's going to describe the purpose, the types of activities that are involved, and the goal of trying to achieve 30 minutes of physical activity that's related to that conference. This is another one. This was at a conference just held in September, Employee Benefits Expo. A little bit more technical in that everyone was issued a pedometer as part of their introduction into the exhibitor hall, and then they're able to track their steps. Again, they've got the prizes that are tied into it, that the reinforcement, a nice measurement tool. You don't always have to have a measurement tool. How many of you have been to a conference, you open your registration packet, and before you go in the exhibitor's hall, there's a little card, and every exhibitor is listed, and it says, go to each exhibitor and get their initials or their stamp and drop it in for a prize. Did you know that you had just gone into a physical activity program? As you hurry from booth to booth and collect all those signatures, great for the exhibitors, great for you, because you've got an incentive to get in there and get moving. Scheduling the actual sessions. When possible, allow as much time. If you can put 10 to 15 minutes between program sessions to allow movement, that's great. Even if it's consecutive sessions in the same room, try to plan in an opportunity for people to be active. Don't sit them in one room in one seat for 2 or 3 consecutive hours of sessions. What do? You include easy-to-do break activities. They work best when they combine social and physical elements. We commonly get a call to the Lifestyle Program Office, and the call says, we're going to have a conference in X Hotel in Atlanta. Can you send an exercise leader over mid-morning and mid-afternoon? They're thinking exercise, they're not thinking physical activity. While you may need special training to lead exercise activities, we don't need special leaders to get us to move. We can do a number of things. What I'm going to do is explain just briefly 2 easy-to-do activities, and we'll actually participate in the third one at the conclusion of my comments. This one, very easy to do with a quick, brief time between speakers. You've got to catch them before the head drops and the blackberries out, or all that's going to involve is the thumb. So when the session ends, the moderator has to immediately say, turn to the person next to you, get on your feet if that's possible, make the silliest face you can, high-five them, shake the hand, tell them where you're from, and until the next speaker is ready, stay on your feet, stay engaged, keep moving. Very easy to implement. Second, you can tell them to get a friend, new or old, go out and touch the foot of the big blue bear. If you've never been in Denver, that big blue bear is peeking in the window of the convention center in downtown Denver. But you can select anywhere. Right now, we could say, I want you to go downstairs in this building, I want you to find the model of CDC and identify the building that this meeting's taking place in. Or if I want you to even be healthier than that, I'm going to tell you that within 100 yards of here, there's a garden market. Go over and get a fresh piece of fruit and head back. Incorporate the option of walking and wheeling meetings. Oftentimes you'll be at a conference and there'll be a subgroup that'll meet around a profession or a topic, and oftentimes these meetings don't have to be taking place seated around a table or in a room. If you've selected the correct environment, encourage all those sub-meetings to be walking and wheeling meetings. Try to get the participants to meet in an area and actually conduct the activity, but do it on the move. I'll now move to leadership, and I break that into 3 categories: professional leaders, peer leaders, or independent activity, where you're both the participant and the leader. And it largely falls around structure. The more structured and the more an activity would fall under the definition of exercise, the more you'd look for a professional instructor. The easiest place to locate them is if the conference site actually has the relationship with a fitness facility and can make that connection and reference for you. I've put a number of bullets on the slide of things that you should take under consideration if you're going to bring in a professional instructor. Be sure that they're actually qualified and certified to lead what you're going to have them lead. Make sure they have the CPR training, have the proper insurance, and consider with your own legal advice whether a waiver might be necessary. Peer leaders are another option, very commonly considered in the CDC environment, where we've got a number of people who are qualified as exercise leaders. What I say when I look at peer leaders is really look at the peer leader situation again in terms of the structure. If you're going to have a peer leader lead a yoga class in the morning where the instructor is actually going to direct individuals as to what to do and how to do things, then you're probably going to follow a lot of these same bullets that you did for the professional instructor. If the peer leader is someone who's going to take people and go out for a walk, then you can waive most of those, although the one at the bottom, again, I'd look. Do you potentially, if you've organized the activity, need to have any type of a waiver? The next slide, I apologize when I sent it to Paul. This slide has 3 bullets and you only see 1. So I'm going to cover the first two invisible bullets, and then we'll cover the third one that you see on the slide. In independent activity, where you are both the leader and the participant, what the conference group can do to enhance that is first, in the conference materials, make participants aware of any significant social endpoints in the environment. It doesn't have to be physical activity related. It may be the big blue bear. It may be an art exhibit. It may be an amazing waterfront. Make them aware of places that they may want to see when they're in that environment. Second, provide them with an area map and instructions on how they can get to those areas. And then the third, make people aware of any emergency resources they may need. We're getting them up, we're getting them moving, they're wheeling, they're walking, they're physically active. If they end up with a blister and need a Band-Aid, if anything more severe, such as a twisted ankle or something, if you can make them aware, where would they get a Band-Aid when they're at the conference? Where would they potentially have somebody evaluate what might be a more severe injury? In summary, select an environment that supports physical activity and exercise if possible. Include the physical activity and exercise information in the program brochure and in the schedule. Make sure that people are alert and aware and ready to participate. And third, have in place the correct leadership for the physical activity or the exercise activities that you have planned. And now what I promised. The next slide that I'm going to move to is going to have 4 levels of physical activity. And we're going to progressively move from the first level to the 4th level. After we've achieved the 4th level, I'll raise both arms, bring them down, and at that point, we want to come back seated and prepared for the final speaker. If you're listening and in a room outside of this auditorium, you may want to take an opportunity to close the door at this point. And now, I'd like to have everybody join me in recognizing the excellent work of the Go Green, Get Healthy Quarterly Forum Committee and the other panelists. And let's just get the hands moving with some polite applause. No, let's get the hands moving. Let's get some applause. Let's get the legs moving. They did a great job. They did a great job. On your feet. On your feet. Yeah. Yeah. What a job. Thank you.
Our final speaker today is Bella Cloyd. Ms. Cloyd currently serves as the program manager for the GSA Training Conference and Expo. In 2010, this training and outreach event delivered 18,000 plus hours of training to over 6,000 attendees. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Bella Cloyd.
Thank you. As Corey said, I'm Bella Cloyd with the General Services Administration, and I'm the GSA Training Conference and Expo Manager. And I'm here this afternoon to tell you a little bit of what we're doing with the GSA Training Conference and Expo to green it, and what we've been doing the last few years and what we hope to do in 2011. What I'll be covering this afternoon is certain points, as you see up on the screen. Now, when you're planning a meeting planner, whether you're dealing with a an event that has 20 people or 20,000 people, you're basically going through a checklist of actions that you're going to be doing, certain things that need to be covered, whether it be a place to meet, hotel accommodations, if you're feeding your people, you've got transportation, it's still the same checklist, regardless of the number of people. So this afternoon, for the next 15 minutes, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about if you're working with a meeting planner, some things that you can do with them. I'll tell you a little bit about what we do with the venue and how you can help green that. If you have an exhibit floor, whether you're displaying a booth yourself or if you are hosting an event with an exhibit floor and you have exhibitors there, what you can do to help green it, and some actions that you can take in dealing with your hotel partners and providing accommodations to your attendees. Also, cover some things that you can do with food and beverage to make things a little more environmentally friendly. And of course, when you have an event, you have to get the word out. So some things that we're doing at GSA to be more environmentally conscious in our communications. And then, of course, transportation to your event and during your event sometimes is needed, and some things that you can do there. And then just a few other little tidbits if we have time. Now, before I get into what we're doing with GSA Training Conference and Expo, just to let you know a little bit about it, we are a government-to-government event. That means that we have our attendees are from the federal government, state and local, as well as military. We even have some attendees come in from overseas governments as well. We're a no-cost event. That means our attendees don't pay, but we do cover our costs for our event from the fees that our exhibitors pay for booth displays on our exhibit floor, as well as registration fees. In 2010, we had over 6,500 attendees with over 700 exhibitors, and as Corey mentioned, we delivered over 18,000 hours of training during a 3-day conference, which just, again, gives you a little bit of an idea of the size and scope of our event. Now for us, we do have a meeting planner that we do work with, and one of the things that we're starting to require them to do is to come up with a green plan for us. So we ask them to come up with what are some of the low-cost things that we can do to green our event? What are some of the things that we could do maybe if we invest a little bit more money into it? And then, of course, what are some of the things if we have a good bit of money sitting there that we can do, you know, on the higher end, what can you do? So whether you have a meeting planner or not, these are actions that you should be taking up front. Sit down, figure out what it is you want to do, and find out what your options are. Because as you go through this process of developing your plan for your event, you're going to have to start making trade-offs between what you can accomplish, what's being offered, and what you can afford. Now, when we talk about a venue, oftentimes with the government, especially with GSA, we actually go out and take a look at what are the venues that are available to host our size event, because it is what they term a citywide event. We bring in a lot of people for that event, and we have certain space requirements that we have to have. So that kind of limits you right off the bat. But depending on what size event you do have, you can put into your requirements, you know, I want to achieve a certain level of green in selecting my venue. So if you're going out with your request for quotes, put that in your requirements. You know, these are the minimum level of green requirements that I have. And you can also give greater weight to green venues in your evaluation factors as you go through that process. We talked a little bit about recycling bins, and if they have those, if they're not doing a one-source recycling in that particular venue, if you're doing a green event and they have recycle bins, make sure that they are visible, that they're not squirreled away in a corner, hidden. Make them very prominent. Make sure that people are seeing them. Make sure there's a lot of them out there. You want people to know that it is green, and you want them to use those. Also, check with your venue to see if they have a donation program. What we're seeing in San Diego, which is where we'll be in 2011, is they have actually create a relationship with their local community, with the schools and charitable organizations. So for groups coming in with events, with exhibitors, is instead of having the exhibitors ship a bunch of stuff back, like office supplies or even signage or equipment or what have you, they will actually hook up local community groups to receive that equipment and those items. So the exhibitors win, they don't have to ship it back, it cuts down on greenhouse gas emissions, and it helps to benefit the local community. So check in with the donation program for your venue, and if they don't have one, it may give them the idea like, oh, great idea, we'll start one. Now, if you have an event where you have an exhibit floor, oftentimes you will have your own exhibit booth there, and there are things that you can do to help green it. One, you can make it really easy. Use last year's booth. You know, that's real simple and real easy to do. It's green, it also saves you money. Oftentimes you might be able to utilize components of your booth from last year. Or if you do need to purchase a new booth or new components, check with the company that you're using to get your booth. And there are oftentimes a lot of new sustainable options available for you in terms of materials. So that's an option. If you have handouts for your exhibit booth, you can do a variety of actions there. You can go from a no handout policy and just point people to a website to go to get their materials after the event. You could give them a CD or give them a flash drive with the information on it, or just make the decision, I'm going to only take 500 pieces of promo material out with me and that's it. Or if you are going to go ahead and do the handouts, just make sure you're using recycled paper, soy-based inks, and double-sided, the old standard. If you are giving away any type of giveaways, we've had some great suggestions earlier as far as a coffee cup or something that they can use afterwards. It's green. There are also other green options out there and very affordable ones too. So just do a little bit of research and you can actually come up with some great ideas there. If you do have an exhibit floor with other exhibitors, invite them to join you in being green. Extend that invitation. Tell them, this is important to us. And that's actually something that we'll be doing this coming year with Expo in 2011. Now, when it comes to accommodations, Corey had mentioned that we had over 6,000 people last year, and that's a lot of hotel rooms in a city. So when we go to look at hotels, we are looking at ones that are nearby in terms of location. We do want people to be able to walk to where it is convenient, to where we don't have to arrange for transportation. But we're also looking to see what their green policies are, okay? So that's something that you can do as well. Another thing is that you can invite your attendees to green their stay. And let me explain what I mean by that. Earlier this year, I had the opportunity to attend the Gov Energy conference in Dallas-Fort Worth. And it was really interesting because they were really taking the extra steps to green that conference. And one of the things in the conference pack was they had a door hanger for your hotel room made out of the seeded paper. And on it, it said, please do not disturb. And the whole idea behind this was they had negotiated with the hotel that if the attendee put this out on their door, that they were declining, cleaning services for their room, which is fine, But on the back side, it also outlined actions that each attendee could take to contribute to greening their stay. One is close your blinds or your curtains, turn off your AC when you leave the room, turn off your lights, and reuse your linens and towels. So next morning I get up, I get ready to go to the conference, I put this thing on my door, and I'm walking down this long hallway, because I'm all the way down at the end, of course, to the elevator, and I am really surprised to see the number of these door hangers along the hallway. And I thought, this is really great. People are asked to get involved, and they're getting involved. So oftentimes it's just a matter of asking and providing the opportunity for your attendees to get involved and to help to green the conference, and they will. Now, in terms of food and beverage, a lot of this is driven by the venue you select or the catering department that you have there. One of the things that you can do is, of course, factor in their green policies into your selection for your venue. Always try to utilize locally grown food to the maximum extent possible. Also, instead of using individual bottles of water or condiment packages, tell them that you want to use bulk beverages. Use the water coolers in the training rooms or in the hallways. You can give out water bottles that they can refill during their stay. There's a lot of options there, but work with your catering department to find out. Depending on the size of your group, you can oftentimes just utilize their regular dishware and glassware to where, it's just, like washing dishes at home, only they have a lot more to deal with. If that's not an option because of the size of your group, they can look at providing you with recycled, she's giving me the 5-minute rule. Okay, recycled dishware and cutlery or compostable stuff. And also check with your venue in terms of what they can do to compost any food scraps or donate excess food. In terms of communications, I mentioned earlier, take a look at the electronic avenues that are available to you. Put up a website, point your people to that in terms of providing information. You can also use email to send out invitations or to notify people of changes about your event. And then one of the things that we're toying around with this coming year is GSA does have a Facebook page, and so we're looking at maybe putting up a fan page as a way of communicating. And then, of course, if you're using print, recycled paper, double-sided, soy-based inks. In terms of transportation, let's talk about to the event as well as at the event. If you've got a local event like what you have here in Atlanta, sometimes you can utilize public transportation like the MARTA system to get you from point A to point B, which is a wonderful option. Sometimes you can just carpool, encourage that. One of the things that we did in 2009 when we had Expo in San Antonio is our group up in Fort Worth actually chartered a bus to take all of our Fort Worth folks from up there down to San Antonio. We had GSA folks on there as well as customers. So it was green, it was very cost effective for us in terms of travel dollars, and it was a lot of fun for the folks on the bus. It's kind of reminiscent of the old high school, field trips. If you've got hotels that are near your meeting space, again, you can build in fitness right into your event by having it within walking distance. Just make sure you let people know to bring their sneakers or comfortable shoes. They will appreciate that. Okay. I've mentioned local transportation. Always check that out as an option in terms of like the MARTA system or the DART system that you have in Dallas. And if you do need to provide transportation, always look for green providers. Some other green options that you can provide in your event is, of course, the materials. I covered this earlier. You can go to no materials and just point them to a website for download later, or do minimal handouts, or, of course, do the recycled paper, double-sided, soy-based inks. That's my mantra. As far as registration and badging, there's a lot of options there in terms of recycled materials or bio-based materials that you can use. Surveys, we're big on surveys at GSA because we're always interested in feedback. And one thing that we're doing in 2011 is we're going totally paperless. Any survey that we can do after the event, we will do, and we will be doing that via email with a link. Any surveys that we're doing on site, like in the training rooms, we're actually going to be using little voting machines so people can do it all electronically, so it'll be zero paper. And then, of course, one thing that you can do, and I would recommend if you're looking at this particular option as far as purchasing offsetting credits for your emissions, is check with General Counsel to see how you might be able to do that. Whoops. Okay. I've got a couple of references here. One is a Green Meetings Report. This was done in 2004 by the Convention Industry Council, and the Green Venue Selection Guide done in 2009 by the U.S. Green Building Council. These two reports were provided electronically to Paul Smith, and I understand he'll be sending that out via the email with the survey afterwards. Take a look at these. They provide some good information and tips on the different aspects of planning an event. Another one is a website called bluegreenmeetings.org. So that's another option for you. So to wrap it up, from our perspective at GSA, basically your best friend in greening an event is going to be your contract. If you've got green requirements, put those in your contracts as you set up these relationships with either your hotel, your conference facility, your transportation providers, that sort of thing. Put those requirements in there. Now, government's in an interesting position and a unique position in leading the greening effort, so don't be shy about asking for what you want. Let industry step up to your challenge, okay? Also, remember that hotels and conference venues are greening their facilities and practices. Some are more green than others, and you're going to need to balance your requirements with your budget. A venue may be green in some aspects, and with a little bit more money, you can green your event even further, but again, you're going to have to make those trade-offs. And realize that you may not be able to green your event 100%, but it's something that you can strive toward, and you can be bold in greening your event. Be sure to question any current practices, be open to new methodologies and new ideas, and ask for green options as you're going through this process of planning your event. It's an exciting time for everyone, and everyone can get involved. You, your team, your organization, as well as your attendees. Just ask them. Thank you for your time. I hope I've given you a few ideas that you can take back to green your event. And before I step down, I just want to extend an invitation to the GSA Training Conference and Expo in 2011 in San Diego, May 10th, 11th, and 12th. Check out our website. Yeah, you're paid, the paid commercial. Check out our website in the coming months and follow us and see how we're greening Expo, okay? Thank you very much.
At this time, I'd like to invite the panelists to come back up here so that we could do a couple minutes of question and answers. Now, do we have any questions from the audience? Go ahead. Oh, you had to push the button because we need to make sure it's recorded.
There we go.
Green light. There you go.
Okay. A question for Garrick. Really enjoyed working with you all. We designed the, I'm Chris Curley with TVS Design. Our team designed the Intercontinental Buckhead. Had a great time doing that. Hope that's working well for you. A couple of questions. Wanted to see, number one, if you're familiar with LEED's portfolio program, and if so, is that something that IHG is looking at? They're trying to get owners on board with looking on a more wholesale scale at all of their properties and thinking in terms of greening those properties, getting LEED certification on multiple properties at once. It's really a pilot program at this point, but it's very interesting for somebody with 4,000 properties that they're operating, obviously.
Yeah, I do know we have discussions with LEED quite regularly about our green engaged pool and some of the bulk certification opportunities, which sounds like it may be the portfolio program that you're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be happy to talk to you more about it at the vendor table.
Yeah, definitely. The second thing is, I guess from our standpoint, we're always looking for feedback from our clients, from potential clients. Any particular challenges you would throw toward the architects and designers out there on hotel design and and sustainability? Thanks.
Okay, I want to open this up to the Envision sites. Are there any questions from any of the Envision sites right now? Okay, does anybody in the audience here have any other questions? I see a question back here.
Hi, this question is for Marcia. On your last slide, you showed a piece of bread with peanut butter, and you mentioned something about allergies. As a kid, I don't remember that being so well known, and my kids are now told not to bring peanuts or any type of peanut products to school. Is this an exposure to something that's already been in existence, or are we seeing a trend, and are there any other items that are on the list that will soon pop up in schools for not being an item to bring to school?
I can't answer whether or not there are other items that might pop up. We do know that peanut allergies have obviously been really common with among children, and a lot of schools have taken the stance to just get rid of peanut butter altogether. I think at this point it's more of an awareness of the different allergies. I'm not sure whether or not it's due to any particular exposure. That's not really my area of expertise.
Okay, we have another question over here.
This goes to the linen reuse at hotels, so it's kind of maybe Vela and Garrick. There's so many times, I'm a meeting planner, and so I travel a lot for work, but when you go in and you put your little sign out saying, please don't, you hang your towel up like you're supposed to, and you come back and your room is actually still, they've cleaned it and they've changed your towels out. Where does that process fall into your negotiations with the hotel or with the processes at the hotel? Is it training of the staff and lack of it, or they just still want to do a good job in general? And then with the one where you hung the tag on the door, was it utilized? Did the hotel do a very good job of implementing that and having their staff understand?
Why don't you go ahead?
So when people find I work for a sustainability and hotel company, the two most frequent questions I get is, do you get to stay at hotels for free? And then the second thing that people talk to me about is these towels programs, because it sounds like a good concept, but it's really hard to execute. And the reason it's really hard to execute is, you know, the average housekeeper who is cleaning the room is just trying to do a good job and not negatively impact the guest's experience. And so they act with an abundance of caution. So if the card isn't placed correctly, or there happens to be a towel on the floor, or it's not folded in a way where the towel is going to dry, the housekeeper wants to err on the side of caution, because people will call to complain if they're dissatisfied, but they won't call. Actually, I'm not explaining it very well. People will call to complain if they make a mistake and they wanted fresh towels, but people usually don't complain if they didn't follow the towel program. And so it does come down to education of the housekeeping staff and kind of reinforcing that messaging. But what's also really interesting, because I'm doing a pilot on this right now at some hotels, is we're giving points to guests who say that they want to have a greener stay, and we're saying we're not going to change the towels within your stay. 40% of those guests who sign up for the program are still throwing their towels on the floor. And so I don't know if it's people when they're at a hotel, it's like, hey, I want my fresh towels. Or, you know, they're used to having somebody at home pick up their towels. But it's a tough thing to execute at the housekeeping level, but then also consumer behavior is really erratic on that as well. And it'd be interesting to hear in terms of how the hotel executed the no housekeeping service.
With GSA, when we're looking to negotiate these contracts with our hotels, we usually just go along with their traditional housekeeping rules and stuff. So a lot of it is between the housekeeper and the hotel management and their staff. You know, I've experienced both myself personally, to where I'll do everything that's on that little card to greet my stay, and doggone it if they don't come in there and I've got fresh towels all over the place. So, you know, it seems to be more of a situation between the housekeeper and the hotel itself, but I can understand them wanting to err more on caution to make sure that the customer is happy.
We have another question over here.
Hi, good afternoon. You all did an excellent job preparing your slides. I had a question I guess directed towards Marissa, but anyone can feel free to jump in. You had mentioned about food preservatives and things of that nature. Are there any guidelines that will be put in place for, I guess, caterers or whoever's preparing the food to take the option of picking foods that have less preservatives or no preservatives, no artificial flavors, colors, things of that nature?
Are there any guidelines from?
I don't know. Is it something that someone would have to put in their plan or their requests and requirements to the?
So you're saying if they want to ask for fewer processed foods, then yeah, they would have to ask for that specifically from catering, and that can sometimes be a bit of a challenge if the food service operation at the location already has, you know, their menus and whatever, you know, what they typically would offer. And that's where sometimes if you can go with a smaller venue, you have a little more flexibility.
Okay. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
If I could, I'd like to also join in on that. We found with Expo, we have on our registration form a place where people can put in any special dietary needs on there, so that way it can alert us and we can work with our catering department at the convention center to meet those needs. And oftentimes we have requests for kosher food, so I would recommend folks to factor that in as well. You may run across that, especially if you have a large group, and we always plan for vegetarian dishes with each of our meals, so they have options.
Okay, back
I just
over
want
here.
to follow that up. Bella, how successful has that been with your different venues and 20,000 attendees at your conferences? And how many requests for special dietary needs do you get?
We usually prepare like 10 kosher meals. We don't utilize all of those because those have to be prepared specially because they have, you know, special guidelines that they use. In terms of vegetarian, we always have a vegetarian option with every meal. And if there's any specific allergies and stuff, the lady who handles our food and beverage, if she's alerted to that, then she just automatically works with catering and takes care of it. So it's very successful. I've never had any complaints on it. It's usually not a large number of people who have that, you know, and out of 6,000, you know, I don't know if everybody's just sitting as they go on travel or what.
Okay, I had a couple more questions that came from the internet, and I just want to ask a couple of these. Most of them were covered before. Are there any types of are there any good mental activities or exercises that can help relax session or conference participants, but also help to increase the engagement of them prior to a session or presentation that's commencing?
Probably the easiest for focus and mental relaxation is diaphragmatic breathing. It's a simple way that we all breathed when we were babies, and then we learned to use our chest and breathe very shallowly. And real quickly, we can all do it by just putting a hand on our belly button, sit upright, And just let the breath come in and let it sink all the way to the belly till it pushes the hand out. And then as it exhales, just let the hand come back in. Chest relaxes, breath sinks, the belly pushes out. Exhale, hand comes back in. Slow breath down. And exhale. And since all you were doing was thinking about your breath during that point in time, you've got the focus on the breath, and now you can adjust it to the next speaker.
All right, thank you. Another question is, do facilities consider lactation rooms as a need? And if not, what substitutes or alternatives are there? I don't know if this would be a better question for Garrick or...
I'm an expert on lactation.
I have 3 kids.
No, I mean, I think it comes down to, I mean, I think the facility and if they're aware of it. I mean, I'd say if they have an employee population or a recurring guest population, that's an issue. I mean, again, hoteliers are in the hospitality industry. They want to meet their guest needs. I will say if, the facility, like thinking if a hotel doesn't have it, but you are going to have a lot of guests with that particular need, just mentioning that need to the general manager, they should be able to try to accommodate it with some type of unused hotel room or some other type of space within the facility.
Okay. And one final question. CDC has indoor air quality standards that limit the use of fragranced products that can irritate someone with allergies or asthma. Can a meeting planner request that a meeting site comply with this policy? Is this something that is written into the contract? And again, I don't know if this might be Vela or Garrick.
For the GSA Expo, we've not run into this particular issue ourselves, so.
Again, I think it depends. I mean, again, depending on how much business you're bringing into a hotel or to a particular site, you have some negotiating leverage and power. Air quality is not something that usually comes up with our hotels. Although if you follow the media recently, Hyatt Hotels is launching kind of a more allergy-friendly room product. But I do know a lot of hotels also use scent machines when you enter the facilities to try to, create some type of emotion and attachment when you come in as part of the guest experience. And so I'm not sure how that impacts air quality, but yeah, it's an interesting question.
Okay, thank you so much. At this point, I'd like to ask for Shyam Reddy to come up to close us out. And this will just be a couple minutes, and then we'll be done for the day.
I'm going green. I've actually gone paperless in my office. We've eliminated 4 printers. We have now 1 shared printer in the RA suite at GSA. And I'm using this iPad for my speeches as well as note-taking. And it's taken some getting used to, but I'm slowly but surely getting there. So if you just give me a moment. See, there are some drawbacks. Anyway, good afternoon. How's everybody doing today? Excellent. Well, it's great to be here at CDC. What a fantastic conference. Liz, it's great to see you and feel the passion that you, CDC, and the rest of the folks here have for sustainable living and meetings. For me, it's something that I care very much about, and it's good and a privilege to be here. I think you guys have done a fantastic job putting this conference together. My name is Shyam Reddy, and I am the Regional Administrator for GSA in Region 4. On behalf of GSA, I'm especially proud to be here with CDC at this conference. Prior to accepting my presidential appointment, I was a corporate law partner, and one of my clients actually built the first generation virtual conference rooms with avatar capability at Intercontinental Hotels. in a little world called Second Life, which is a virtual world. The rooms actually had the same look and feel as the real conference rooms at your flagship property. Both my client and IHG were on the cutting edge of sustainable conferencing, so it's great to see you guys here participating in this conference and sharing your insights with all of us at CDC and GSA. Being here also reminds me of my time on the board of the School of Public Health at University of Georgia, which I served on with Ann Haddock, CDC's Chief Policy Officer, and that's who introduced me to Liz. On the board, we actually discussed topics like this. Being here also reminds me of being at the Emory School of Public Health. So I feel like I have some sort of street cred in this building, given that I have a master's in public health. Hopefully that gives me a little bit more credibility. It's also probably no surprise to you that I am incredibly passionate about public health and wellness and GSA's new top priority, sustainability, which, by the way, goes hand in hand with CDC's core mission, as so well reflected in CDC's mantra, go green, get healthy. And by the way, you need to trademark that if you haven't done so. As some of you may know, the President has asked GSA to lead on sustainability, and in so doing, he has appointed us to the Green Team, along with the Department of Energy and the Council on Environmental Quality. In Region 4 alone, we have 41 million square feet of owned and leased real estate, a fleet of 40,000 vehicles, half of which have been greened out, and billions of dollars in customer procurement. Given that responsibility, we have the ability to create and drive markets for green goods and services, as well as renewable and clean energy. In fact, our administrator has taken our mission one step further and empowered all of us at GSA to help the agency achieve a zero environmental footprint by 2020. Well, greater physical activity, better nutrition, and sustainable meetings will help us meet that objective. So the insights you shared with us today are incredibly helpful to us. With our charge card program, per diem rate setting, and city pairs program responsibilities, we are even in a unique position to drive sustainable green improvements in the hospitality industry as well. As part of that zero environmental footprint pledge, we are committed to not only eliminating our impact on the environment, but also assisting and enabling our federal partners to do the same. Today's forum is an excellent example of collaboration and a collective effort by two agencies to educate, to train, and to inspire behavior change for federal employees and the communities that we live, we work, and we play in. In fact, CDC and GSA have established a formal partnership with designated points of contact and teams charged with exploring and implementing ways to promote public health and wellness in GSA federal buildings, child care facilities, and cafeterias. We provide the space and traffic, and CDC provides the expertise, the guidance, the nutritional counts, etc. Ultimately, I envision a CDC GSA co-branded signage, events, and initiatives promoting public health and wellness, which will hopefully result in systemic benefits such as better health outcomes while addressing some of our healthcare disparities. Maybe we can develop a CDC GSA co-branded offering for sustainable conferences that leverages GSA's procurement and facilities expertise with CDC's public health expertise. I want to conclude my remarks by thanking you for joining our discussion on how to plan a green and healthy conference. The movement has just begun, and rest assured, you're part of it. Change only happens when movements are afoot, and there's no doubt in my mind that one is here. But the only way that we're going to be able to keep it moving is for you to embrace it and move with it and to keep it moving. So continue the movement by embracing sustainability in your life. Share your stories with your friends, with your family, with your colleagues. Make better choices when conducting your meeting planning. Choose sustainable locations. Reduce your energy and water consumption. Look for ways to reduce, reuse, and recycle. And while you're doing that, think about the Jack Johnson song, which my little 15-and-a-half-month-old loves. Greener meetings are healthier meetings for our environment and for public health, so we should all be committed to planning in a sustainable way in the future, not only for ourselves, but for our children and our grandchildren and for generations to come. So join us at the Sustainable Living Fair on November 2nd, so I'm going to do a plug, at the Sam Nunn Atlanta Federal Center from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. to kick off a series of GSA sustainability education events for the federal community. The fair will have sustainable exhibits, GSA schedule vendors, and products for personal and home use available for purchase. I am proud to say that our trusted sustainability partner, CDC, will be participating in the event with us. And today, please join GSA as well as the vendors outside this auditorium to learn more about the companies that can help you increase your sustainability efforts at your next meeting. By embracing sustainability, a cleaner environment, all of us at GSA and CDC are working towards a greater purpose, eliminating our impact on the environment and promoting public health and wellness, lessening our dependence on foreign oil, and transitioning our country to a clean energy economy, all while preserving our national health, climate, and energy security. What an awesome mission. And whether you realize it or not, promoting clean, healthy, sustainable conferences will help move us in that direction. And one day when you're sitting on your front porch, I've got many years to go before this happens, thinking about my time serving at the pleasure of the President in this administration, I hopefully can look back and say that I played some small part in helping move our country forward in terms of being greener and healthier. And hopefully you will be able to do the same thing. And together we can make it happen. And as CDC says so well, what is it? Go green, get healthy. I heard it the first time several months ago, and I've tried to incorporate it in my life, as I've already done in my office. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.